Hi everyone. In this discussion, we're going to be talking with Drew from KlimaDAO, and we're going to see how we can bring in KlimaDAO to kind of provide cross-chain solutions. So Drew, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Justin. So I'm Drew, leading partnerships at KlimaDAO. I have about 8 years of experience in the climate finance space. I've worked with carbon project development and financing. I've also worked with some tech companies doing different innovative things with monitoring, reporting, and verification using different remote sensing technologies. And I've also just been a carbon offset trader in the market, along with renewable energy certificates and things of that nature. So yeah, excited to speak about what KlimaDAO is doing. We've been in the market for about a year and a half now, I suppose. We're one of the largest holders of carbon liquidity in the blockchain space. There's about 25 million tons of tokenized or digitized carbon offsets that have made their way to the Polygon blockchain. And KlimaDAO is building a variety of different tooling and building the infrastructure layer for different applications to tap into that carbon liquidity and build unique applications with digital carbon. So that's me.
Excellent. I appreciate that. So can you kind of expand on why you all chose Polygon?
Certainly. So one of the key benefits, I think, of blockchain technology in the climate finance space is in particular with public blockchains, right? So of course, there's a variety of different public blockchains, but we chose Polygon because there is a very, let's say, active developer community. It's an EVM compatible chain, which is a plus. There's a lot of EVM developers already. And it's really important to have, let's say, a very vibrant DeFi community or decentralized finance that can build different types of interoperable applications together. Because I think that's how we really spur on innovation in this industry, is when people can build together like that. So you want a chain where there's a lot going on there. The other piece is that Polygon, in comparison to other L2s, although Polygon proof of stake is technically like a side chain, they do have some true L2 solutions in the pipeline. But the other condition with them is that they've had tremendous traction when it comes to corporate adoption, right? A lot of that right now is just marketing efforts and doing some interesting things with NFT projects and such. But then it's not so much of a leap for these corporates to say, okay, we're already using Polygon for project XYZ. Let's also start to use them for some of our ESG initiatives and tap into that chain and the infrastructure there for sourcing different types of environmental assets.
Excellent, excellent. So given that we're trying to bring in the masses, we're trying to bring in enterprises, right? What current challenges do you see within the climate finance space and adoption?
Yeah. So this is a really, really important part for what we're trying to do, and that's the interfacing challenge, right? I think decentralized finance generally really has this challenge with the interface. We can't expect corporates and really just the majority of users to create, let's say, a Web3 wallet, use MetaMask, sign into an application, do everything like that. You have to make the experience more, let's say, Web2-like, where they're comfortable logging in with an email, maybe using two-factor authentication, being able to see the different types of blockchain-based assets they have, be able to send transactions easily and in a verified manner. That's really crucial. That's one of the points that KlimaDAO is working on with our partners. But I think it's kind of like where the internet was at in the 90s, before web browsers became more intuitive and everything. I think in the next year or two, people won't even realize they're interacting with blockchain. Right, it's just all going to be abstracted away. That's really the direction we need to go to get mass adoption.
Okay. So all right. So once we get to adoption, because I think that you've had the discussion of based on the use case, everything doesn't have to be on the blockchain, right? But in terms of carbon offsets, carbon emissions tracking, what do you think are the benefits of utilizing blockchain?
Yeah, so I think like KlimaDAO's approach to this isn't unique necessarily. Institutions like the World Bank have cited the benefit of blockchain and have seen it as let's say, an appropriate technology to apply to the climate finance space. Well, why is that? Blockchain really provides unprecedented transparency and traceability of different types of assets, and it can be done in a way where you have essentially neutral infrastructure that's doing this, that a variety of different stakeholders can both monitor, but then also interact with. So I think this goes back then to this idea of having a vibrant DeFi developer community. If you're all building on, let's say, neutral public infrastructure in a trustless manner, which blockchain provides, people can build different types of applications together and not have to rely on some centralized party to ensure that there's congruency with the data and things of that nature. It can all just run on the blockchain. So I think that's a really strong suit. The other piece is that right now the voluntary carbon market is very fragmented. There's trading activity that takes place OTC in a very opaque fashion. And when you can start to move that market activity onto a blockchain, there are interesting data insights that I think can be empowering to the market, which simply aren't really possible today. Today, if you're looking at, let's say, market analysis of the voluntary carbon market, you're relying on retrospective, often survey-based studies. So you're going to be looking at data that's months old, right? In contrast, just to give a very concrete example on this. So KlimaDAO has the carbon.KlimaDAO.finance market dashboard. In real time, we can see all the activity taking place from different types of digital carbon assets. So we'll be able to see, what kind of projects are most interesting to corporates, which geographies seem to be, having high interest on corporates that are looking to offset their carbon and so on. All that data will be available, and I think that's going to be very empowering to the market.
Excellent. So yeah, you were talking about bringing devs in to your ecosystem, to your protocol. So my question to you is, how do you recruit and retain devs when there's a lot of competition out there within the Web3 space? I'm very interested in this one.
Yeah. Well, so Klima is a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO. It's the first DAO that I've been a part of, but it's really interesting to see how the transparency of like governance decisions, how that happens, and then also through the tokenomics, that different contributors, of course, can have skin in the game right away. Because if you have the Klima token, you can then engage in that governance process. You have a voice, right? Major decisions on how funds are allocated and the different types of projects that we undertake, that's all very transparent. There's a clear governance process, discussions from the community, and then voting to determine that. So it's very meritocratic, I would say, as well. And that's an interesting piece I think is attractive to people and to talent. The other side is just working in climate finance right now. I think if people are looking for something meaningful where they can have a real impact on, it's the future of the planet and society in many ways, and then leverage this new novel technology, well, we're right at the crossroads of that, right? KlimaDAO works with the interface of blockchain and climate finance. So I think that's strong messaging. That's something that resonates with a lot of people. And so we've been fortunate to be able to attract a lot of talent that way.
Excellent. I like that. So how long do you think it's going to take to get this DAO type governance type structure for Web 2, what we call Web 2 companies, like traditional organizations? How long do you think it's going to take to get the adoption of this type of model?
Yeah, I could see. I think in 9 to 12 months, we'll have some more industry players that are a bit more involved, right? We've done a lot of education around what it is that we're actually doing. And this comes back to another point of like, why is the DAO structure interesting, or why is it interesting to use the blockchain? So we're building these different infrastructure pieces to facilitate the market. And the way that we're doing that, and by building on the blockchain, all these different market participants can have a voice in that, but also have, let's say, ownership over that infrastructure. right? And that's something that doesn't exist in the traditional market today either, right? It's all siloed exchanges, centrally controlled, fragmented in a way. We're kind of harmonizing all that, and then everybody can have a voice and join. Now, of course, that's the thesis that we're after. Will different actors actually want to do that? Because of course, there's a lot of competition in the market. We have to see, but the tools that we're building, we try to be neutral and just build an infrastructure layer that other people can build on top of. So we'll have to see how much adoption there is there. The other piece is on the regulation side, let's say. Wyoming, for example, does recognize DAOs as a legal entity type. There's a few other jurisdictions in the world that are starting to do this too. I think that's important for legitimacy and for different players to feel comfortable about it. Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you've been educating people. You've been educating people on what you all do, right? Now, are you saying that you've been educating traditional companies on what you do?
Primarily, yeah. I mean, there's so much stuff happening in DeFi, right? And what we're doing though has this direct tie into, I don't know if I want to call it the off-chain world or the real world, whatever it may be. We have to onboard these players in the market that have been here for the last 20 years, to show them how this technology can be used and how it can be empowering to what they're doing. So that is a pretty core mission to what we do. And that's why most recently we've been hosting this webinar series called Onset. We're trying to get a lot of industry players in there, to showcase to them what it is that we're doing. And I think the first webinar, it's titled Introduction to Digital Carbon. I think that's a great resource for people in the market to take a look at what we're doing and what blockchain can enable.
Okay. Now, what's been the feedback? What's been the feedback from the industry? What have they been saying? Because I'm curious.
Yeah. So, I mean, some organizations are pretty, let's say they're pretty interested and they see the potential here. They see how it can disintermediate the market to a certain extent and help deliver more finance to the carbon project developers themselves, and through that, local communities that are on the front lines of climate impact. So that's exciting. I think they see it as a direct route to financing and to the demand side participants in the market. There's others that I think see what we're doing as competition for them. I mentioned the idea of disintermediation. Whenever you do that in the market, people are going to push back because there's middlemen that are taking part of the profit, right? So those types of players are certainly far less receptive to what we're doing. Then you have there's other groups that they associate anything with blockchain with scams and hacks, and it's this Wild West, right?
Yes.
That's something we have to overcome.
Yeah. Excellent. And I know that. So do you do anything with Toucan Protocol? Because I know that you were actually working with that, their kind of tooling, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so Toucan Protocol developed this first carbon bridge, it's called. So that basically allows you to digitize the offsets that existed in the Vera carbon registry. So Vera paused bridging at first while they developed this framework that they feel comfortable with. But in that time, all the major carbon registries have started working groups and figuring out how can we do this digitization? Are we going to do it ourselves? Are we going to use a third party? Those are all things that are getting figured out. And there's other carbon bridges that have emerged in that time too. Musser, C3, et cetera. There's a few players now.
Excellent. So if an organization, this last question, if the organization is looking to enter into this space, what would be the implementation path? What would be the digital transformation journey, you think, for a Web 2 company moving into Web 3?
Yeah, so I'll answer that through the lens of a carbon project developer, I think, to provide context. So, right now, they may partner with different organizations that are going to buy their credits and then find end buyers. They may do forward deals or just spot deals, et cetera. But what this project developer can do now is that they can directly link into the market and see what their types of credits are trading at, that the pricing is available 24/7. fully transparently on the blockchain. So they can have a choice of, let's say, just selling their credits directly in the market after they bring them on chain, or they could load them into a marketplace and sell them for fixed pricing to different participants. They could integrate them into some of the other Web3 tooling that does like automated offsetting for different fintech solutions and such. The big thing for them as part of that journey is they need to connect the carbon registry account with the blockchain. And that's getting more streamlined nowadays. Again, a lot of this is going to get abstracted away. You're not going to have to worry about MetaMask. You're just going to have one account, with the carbon registry or with another custodian that'll manage all that for them. And then it's just going to be like they had any other account online. You're just going to click a few buttons, move some credits around. They're not going to worry about any blockchain stuff. It'll all be, in the background.
Yeah. And I know I said that was the last question, but I lied. So hopefully this will be the last one. But so what's your thoughts in terms of interoperability within this climate finance space?
Yeah, so this is an important one. I spoke to a gentleman from BXC. So they are a group under the the Global Blockchain Business Council, GBDC. So they are looking at what kind of working groups they can have here, and one of them that I'm really pushing for is the development of an open digital carbon data standard. Now, what does that mean? It means that we have the data framework in place for how carbon offsets are stored on a blockchain. It also means that we start to standardize the processes at the smart contract level on, I don't know if you're familiar with like carbon retirements. That means when you actually claim the environmental benefit, and then that credit's taken out of the market. So all these different processes need to be standardized, and this BXC group, their infrastructure working groups are looking at this, and they're a neutral body. They're working and funded by multiple layer 1 blockchains, and they're also working with the carbon registries themselves. So this is exciting because, of course, this type of standardization is really important in the market if we have all the innovation happening across these different blockchains and so on, being able to compound, let's say. Right.
And then what's the name of that group again?
So it's BXC, and I'm trying to think, it's like blockchain climate something, and then BXCI is the blockchain climate infrastructure working group. Those organizations are underneath the Global Blockchain Business Council.
Okay.
GBDC.
Okay. Blockchain Business Council. Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I had. So do you have kind of any parting words? Where can people find you? And what final takeaways or calls to action would you have?
Sure. Yeah, I would just say, look, this is a really exciting space. I think blockchain technology is starting to mature. The interfaces are getting better. There's just so much innovation happening, and I think climate finance itself is also a growing field. It's tremendously growing. Could 30x by 2030. That's just carbon offsets in the voluntary carbon market. And so, if you are, let's say, a developer or just someone working in climate finance and you're interested in what's going on here, check out KlimaDAO.finance. We have a great resources section. We've written extensively on all the topics that I've talked about in this discussion. And you can also follow me on Twitter. It's at Drew_Klima. I post a lot about the different developments in this space, as well as the carbon offsetting market more generally. And yeah, I'd be happy to engage in the discussion. And also, if you're a company, happy to help you source and utilize digital carbon assets in the future.
All right, excellent. Drew, thank you for your time. And until next time, thanks a lot.
Justin.
Thanks.